Good morning. Today I'll start with episode 12 of Exiting the Matrix, and this is calling out the slave system. So yesterday I was talking about how we become free and what the different steps to freedom are and how to define freedom. And part of how we define freedom is by recognizing calling out slavery. So the Matrix primarily exists as a slave matrix projecting holograms of fear, scarcity, pain, and many of these are physically manifest, so it's not just like it's a full partial hologram. We're not talking about just like a flat screen TV. We're talking about like a real hologram. Like they actually, it affects reality. We're not talking about just a movie screen or a projection. A hologram kind of takes on a new form. It's an ultra potent projection. It takes form in physical manifest form. I was talking a little bit about one aspect of the slave matrix yesterday. Are machines that create dis-ease. We have machines that generate frequencies which are known to create dis-ease. 440 tuning was created by Nazi scientists to use a sound warfare. You can look this up on Wikipedia or any history book that's actually done real digging into this stuff. So 440 hertz is the tuning, like people could tune their guitar, is the tuning that everyone uses as the modern standard for music. It used to be 432. Jimi Hendrix and a number of other really talented musicians chose to tune their instruments to 432 anyways. They disregarded the 440 standard because they intuitively knew that 432 was amazing, or because they did some research and found out that 432 heals our body. 432 is in alignment with our vibration. 440 hertz tuning is an aspect of the matrix. It was designed by Hitler scientists to cause desired emotions and thoughts in enemies. So if they wanted to make an enemy feel more strained and more prone to making bad decisions and more feel more intense feelings, they could project sound that was tuned to 440 hertz. So now we have the International Music Society, whatever that's called, has decided that everybody on this planet should be listening to music in 440. So this is one thing we can call out. We can say, hey, why is our music still tuned to 440? I actively go online and I search out retuned versions of songs that are just, they change the tuning. It's not that hard to do to change the tuning to 432. I actually have realized that my interest in regular music is so much decreased because I have found these tuned tracks that are designed to help with our frequencies. They resonate with our natural state of being, so they support our natural state of being. And because meditation is a natural state of being, these tracks help us meditate. I listen to these things all night and often throughout the day because they put me into a state of meditation. They are in aligned. If I listen to them for hours and hours, a couple days, then I just am hearing them all the time. I'm generating my own frequency, and it's great because I can create that bliss state and that extra meditation, that extra deep meditation, no matter where I am, whatever is happening. So one way we can be really aware of the sounds around us. We do not have to cause trouble, but we can definitely call out and or avoid things that are aspects of the matrix which are doing us no good, which are most of them. So sound is a big one. Sound is pretty much all-encompassing at this point, because if we live in an urban area, we're going to be hearing cars that are not properly tuned. Most cars are not properly tuned. If a car is properly tuned, when it goes by, your body should feel good. You should just get a good sensation, a good tuning. When it's balanced, when it's in harmony, the machine is going to function better, it's going to last longer, it's going to be more efficient, and the bystanders are going to relatively enjoy the vibration that comes off of it. If it's off-tune, it's creating disharmony, it's creating dis-ease, and this is sound pollution. I mean, regular engine noise, even if it's well-tuned, is still noise pollution. It's covering up nature, it's covering up our thoughts, it's covering up whatever else is happening. But untuned engines make up the majority of engines, so we're getting this incredible dissonance that is just, permeating everything. Cell phone towers. We've got all kinds of radiation coming around that has varying degrees of effects on different people. None of the studies have shown it's any good for us. But more importantly, what we want to focus on, we can try to get into nature as much as possible to release all this stuff and also live closer to nature if we can, or spend more time in nature. But we really want to be focusing on behavior is the one thing we really have a lot of direct interface over. So we have a lot of control mechanisms that are false projections, and they're done mostly through behavior, through conditioned behavior. And I was talking about in the last episode that the moral authority that the Matrix has designated itself with is the most important thing to be calling out. Because it's okay, the fact that we're realizing we're slaves and that our economic system is modeled after slavery, and businesses around the world are all modeled after slavery. If you look closely at how a business is structured, it's basically just a slave owner, a bunch of slaves that are tiered slightly. The slave owner is just as much of a slave as everyone else, but doesn't realize it because they feel like they have authority, because they can be mean to people, because they make more money. These are inconsequential things. In a tribal system, being mean to someone and making more money isn't a good thing. It means there's something really wrong, and that person is probably not going to be very highly respected in their tribe. So anyways, we really need to stay focused on, 1, boundaries and avoiding other people's bad behavior, and 2, our own behavior. We want to be calling out the best in things. We want to, there's some great memes and phrases in old wisdom. We find happiness by realizing that by studying our needs, we don't have that many real needs, and we become very simple people. This is one of the truest aspects of reality. So we'll find our needs and try to figure out how to just get our very true needs met, and we can spend the rest of our time trying to both be genuine ourselves and in support of other people. Because once we realize that even as a slave within the Matrix, we can still, find a somewhat tolerable day job that we can make tolerable, or a really enjoyable one. There's a lot of possibilities. And just work our job routine and have a minimal or whatever social life we want. We still have plenty of time to be ourselves. We can be ourselves throughout this whole process, and we can dedicate all the time we're not doing that to being like accelerated versions of ourselves. We can really, a little bit of meditation and a little bit of focus goes a long ways. I've been telling everybody as I've been building my meditation practice over the years, I've recognized that building a meditation practice and setting aside the time to do meditation is basically saying this is my time. It's not, instead of getting off work and saying, okay, now I don't have to do anything. I don't have to think. Now I want to relax by consuming substances, eating foods, enjoying media, whatever. We can say, okay, I am now in my space. What do I want to create? What was I not able to create more of when I was in shared space? And now that I'm in my space, meditation is basically saying, I want to do what's best for me in my space. And if we can work with this even in small increments, this is amazing, because the more we become conditioned to working with doing what's best for us in our time, the more it spills over into the rest of our time and the rest of all time. So once we build these habits and patterns, the more we meditate, the more meditation seeps over into our daily life. So it's really, really valuable to meditate. Again, business practice can come straight out of meditation practice. We can literally get so good at our meditation that we're just so dialed into what we're doing that business, something we might not want to do, or I know, especially for starseeds and for people who have more empathy, business doesn't make sense. Business is doing what we're best at in support of the tribe. That's what we all intuitively feel. But we live in a slave matrix right now where money is important. So we gotta integrate this to some degree to make it work. Or, some people have great success just running away from it, and that's great too. People that live out in the wilderness, that's great. I have seriously considered just dropping all this and finding some way I can just live in the wilderness because I don't want to deal with this stuff anymore. But we can absolutely be modifying our behavior so we're not trying for more, we're not looking for more, recognizing where people are at, seeing the matrix for what it is, calling out the bad stuff, but also just seeing it for what it is. If people are under the control, if people are in the spell of the matrix, we want to be in support of when they're expressing their true identity and their true character, and we want to be kind of distancing ourselves when they're just playing out programming, and we want to have a persona that's not going to trigger someone, but also not going to let that bullshit through, because the Matrix has no end to bullshit. That's just like a non-stop stream. Again, this is what we can be calling out, is the fact that there doesn't need to be communication and media and information around subjects that are not important or negative. Right now, part of the fear matrix is a compulsion to have to know about things that are bad. This is really not healthy. This is really unhealthy behavior. If we had modern spiritual psychologists, they would be pointing out and saying, hey, all we have to do is focus on the good things and create more of them. Why are we focusing on the bad things? The fact that Halloween still exists in its form of dressing up as horror people from horror pictures that are cruel and violent and dressing up as pop stars who are mindless and promote being a slave within the system. Like, this isn't a holiday. This is pretty bad. This is us celebrating our slavery. All Hallows Eve, or whatever it's been called throughout the years, has been recognized as a time where the veils are the thinnest. Due to magnetic activity in astrology, the veils are the thinnest. So we get spooky behavior coming through, and we can use this as potent internal time. We can use this to see what other people are really experiencing. The veils are thin in between the worlds, so we can see internally people's behavior. It starts affecting their external behavior where they had it on a leash and had a persona covering it up before. So All Hallows Eve is a really magical time. We can all be kind of dialed in. It's been really, really intense this year. This is my first awakened Halloween, so I've got to watch within myself for a week and a half. All the emotions come bubbling up. Everything that I might be a little bit distant around, haven't fully embraced yet, it's given me the opportunity to revisit all these things that I've been working with. And also, I'm trying really hard to have a playful, consistent exterior, because as other people are going through this, I don't want to engage in any of it. People are releasing their secrets right now, and I don't want to have anything to do with that, because people get terrified when they realize they released a secret, and then you get all kinds of crazy manic behavior. I have seen so much crazy manic behavior in the last week. I'm so happy that I don't look for social comfort. I don't look for comfort or joy simply by socializing. I like to connect. I like to form connections and really feel a connection. But there's just so much of this, people feeling the veils thinning, and their expression, their feelings that they've been, locked away from, all the rest of the year, are starting to bubble out in manic forms. So I'll see groups of people laughing in a very disoriented way, laughing in a very ungrounded way, talking about something that doesn't quite make sense. And I can literally see how these people are feeling these entities in them and allowing these entities to come up and surface. These entities are sometimes just repressed emotions, but when we repress ourselves, we're taking away from ourselves, then entities get in. There's spirit is everywhere, and some spirit is not very evolved and got kind of trapped and is looking to hijack or hitch a ride somewhere else. A number of different cultures talk about this. The hungry ghosts, I think the Chinese culture has a very large practice of this. The hungry ghosts are just all these souls that didn't quite make it. They were really attached to something on this planet, and they couldn't let go. So they are forever mindlessly seeking to replay their patterns through whatever being they happen to encounter. So Halloween, really good time to be focusing on our internal intuition, not what we think and how we feel, but our intuition. If we really still ourselves and quiet ourselves, we can hear what our intuition says. It'll say, don't do that, or it'll say, do that. And it'll say, what the consequences for this is, or it says, if you do this, something good is going to happen. Our intuition is pretty good at that. I think it's been referenced as like the little angel and the little devil on the shoulder. We are that. We are the angel and we are the devil. And so we can call for the support we want, and generally we want to be calling for the angelic support, because the darkness just seeks to have the ego be more inflated and be more selfish, and that's what causes problems. Spiritual technology is very advanced technology, because consciousness expanding to the point where it realizes that the world is love and joy, even though there's a lot of difficult lessons, is a breakthrough. It's a breakthrough from the old state of consciousness that says, life is just really hard and it's just really cold and people are mean. Again, these are fear aspects of the matrix. If we live in a tribal society that from birth, where we're told how to integrate with the world, we're not going to have anxiety about unmet needs. The concept of having anxiety exist sustained is a sign of a really disgusting, devolved culture that doesn't support its people. It's a worthless system. If our system is designing and engineering and supporting anxiety and depression, this is pretty bad. Tribal systems don't have anxiety and depression generally. I mean, a broken tribal system that's been slaughtered might, but in its high form, and a tribal system that's functioning without external interference, takes care of its needs. This is the primary function of a tribe. As individuals, we learn how to take care of our needs, and as tribes, we learn how to take care of our needs collectively. This is not a leap of logic. The fear matrix tells us that someone is always going to try to steal something if we try to make something nice. And this just isn't true. This is the fear matrix telling people that people steal. The same fear matrix that makes a profit off of having people enslaved, literally in jails. It's not very hard to see how the jail industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, serves no real purpose. Locking people away doesn't help the people, helps us minimally because it creates all this discord. People have to be the literal slave masters. These are darkness factories. These are factories of dis-ease. Prisons are just designed to be giant. The term I think people use is loosh, when harvesting negative energy for the dark forces. Because when we're happy and we're enjoying, we're expanding our consciousness. This is the light. We're expanding in the light, in consciousness. We're increasing awareness. We're increasing intelligence. We're receiving more. But prisons are basically designed to do the opposite. It's designed to strip everyone down to their most base animalistic form where they have no evolution. So we really need to be careful about triggering these things, calling them out in ways that we're not triggering them, because this is how we escape the matrix, is when we're calling all this stuff out all the time. We don't have to do it out loud. It can be helpful in certain situations to do it out loud, but we definitely want to be calling it out all the time because we want to denormalize it. They have normalized the macabre, the twisted, the sick, the disturbed, and we want to not normalize that. We want to bring that back into perspective of how that's not normal anymore. And this is, again, I was talking about yesterday about how we free ourselves by painting the picture of reality over the hologram. Stop paying attention to the hologram because the hologram isn't real. And we want to encourage other people to do the same, but most people that are having to awaken themselves aren't going to wake up because we tell them to. They're not going to wake up because we present information to them. They're more likely to wake up by the fact that we are happy and they are not. At some point they give in and they realize that the slave programming isn't all as good as they thought it would be, and they get curious and they're like, well, that guy seems to not follow the rules and be happy. I kind of want that. This is what we're looking for, genuine curiosity. We don't want to be trying to change people's minds, because people that are told to believe something and then inflicted with an emotional wound are going to respond with that emotional wound to that infliction. They're not going to respond with logic to the communication. So we really don't have much room for changing people's minds with words, because words have been weaponized in our society. Words are used for law, they're used for slave owning, psychology is a form of slave ownership at this point. It's very rarely used to help people. It's used to have people not focus on the problems as much. But psychology hasn't reached transcendental psychology. We're not practicing as a culture transcendental psychology, which says that everything is good, we just have to figure out what's blocking the goodness. That's basically transcendental psychology. Is we're not playing this old school psychology game of I'm the perfect psychologist and you're the subject and you have a problem and I know how to fix that problem. This is bullshit. Everybody has problems. Transcendental psychologists recognize this and recognize they got to start analyzing. We have to analyze ourselves before we're analyzing anyone else. And, as soon as we start, if we want to help someone, the first thing we're going to be doing is reviewing ourselves for any triggers we're picking up. If we've been doing this a long time, it's a very quick, simple process that we don't even think about, but we still do it. We have awareness in the fact that there is an ego that likes to emotionally respond and react to things. We don't let go of our basis of reality just because we become more evolved. So again, we want to be focusing on being genuine and finding ways to blend in with being genuine. I was talking about this yesterday. Find the persona or the character that both shields us and buffers us from the craziness of unconsciousness and allows the crazy unconscious system to ride with something. And they can say, okay, this person isn't just a rule breaker. Because basically, people that are free just appear to be people who break rules all the time. So this is why this is an aspect of the slave matrix. People who don't follow the rules are rule breakers and need to be punished. They're wrong. Again, moral authority. The matrix loves to grab the moral authority by saying you broke the rules. But really, the rules are breaking the rules. The rules are breaking natural law. So, no rule that can be made by man is more important than natural law, because natural law is everything. Natural law is how the world works. So the fact that man can have an idea and say that it's more than natural law, not so much. All the great philosophers and all wisdom keepers have always said that the great information is out there and we can become aware of it. We can open ourselves to receive the wisdom of the universe. We do not create the wisdom of the universe. This is the folly of man. So anybody who thinks that they're creating the wisdom of the universe, This is what we're taught to do. We're taught to think that we can create things that are our own and have pride for them. This is all slavery. Thinking that we create our own things and having pride for them is worshipping attachment and ego. It's not good. It's bad. Being good at what we do and being really good and really focused on what we do and sharing that is something to be in joy of. When we are doing what we are good at and it is benefiting other people, this is natural state. This is natural law. This is harmony. This is what wants to happen. This is what the fear matrix is trying to repress all the time. All right. Well, I hope you all stay really nice and safe, and I hope you had a wonderful Halloween, and hope you have a wonderful Friday.